In the vast emptiness before time itself began, there was only God. He existed in eternal perfection. Out of his boundless creativity, he decided to bring forth the universe. This profound act of creation is detailed in the first chapter of Genesis. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. From the formless void, darkness covered the deep waters, and the Spirit of God hovered over the surface of the waters. In this primordial silence, God spoke, "Let there be light," and light burst forth, piercing the darkness. This was the first day, where day was separated from night, bringing the first glimpse of order to the chaos. On the second day, God created the sky, a vast expanse to divide the waters above from the waters below. This firmament, majestic and infinite, stretched across the newly formed earth, setting the stage for further acts of creation. The third day saw the gathering of waters into one place, allowing dry ground to appear. God called the dry ground land and the gathered waters seas. He then commanded the land to sprout with vegetation, plants yielding seeds and trees bearing fruit. The earth responded, flourishing with greenery of every kind, filling the land with vibrant life. On the fourth day, God adorned the sky with lights to separate day from night. He created the sun to govern the day, the moon to govern the night, and the stars to illuminate the heavens. These lights were set in place to mark seasons, days, and years, guiding the rhythms of life on earth. The fifth day brought an explosion of life in the waters and skies. God commanded the seas to teem with living creatures, and the skies to be filled with birds. With his blessing, these creatures multiplied, filling the oceans with swarms of fish, and the sky with the flutter of wings. On the sixth day, God focused on the land, creating animals of every kind, livestock, creatures that move along the ground, and wild animals. Each was crafted with precision, adding to the rich diversity of life on earth. Finally, God said, "Let us make man in our image, in our likeness." From the dust of the ground, he formed man and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. Man became a living being, named Adam. God then created woman from Adam's rib, named Eve, and together they were given dominion over the earth and all its creatures. God saw all that he had made, and it was very good. On the seventh day, God rested from his work, blessing the day and making it holy. This rest was not due to fatigue, but as a model for humanity, a time for reflection and worship. The creation narrative teaches us about the power and order of God, who brings life and light out of chaos. It reminds us of our place in his creation, entrusted with the care of the earth and reflecting his image. As the foundation of our world, these first 7 days set the stage for the unfolding story of humanity and our relationship with Creator. With the foundation of the world set, the narrative of Genesis turns to the creation of humanity, detailing the intimate and profound act by which God forms man and woman. This account is found in Genesis 2:4-25. These are the generations of the heavens and the earth when they were created, in the day that the Lord God made the earth and the heavens, before any plant of the field was in the earth, and before any herb of the field had grown. The Lord God had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was no man to till the ground. But a mist went up from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground. Then the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. Man became a living being. The name given to this first man is Adam. God plants a garden eastward in Eden, and there he places Adam. This garden, rich and lush, is filled with every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food. In the midst of the garden stand the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. A river flows out of Eden to water the garden, and from there it parts and becomes 4 riverheads: Pishon, Gihon, Hiddekel, Tigris, and Euphrates. God takes Adam and places him in the Garden of Eden to work it and keep it. And the Lord God commands the man, saying, "Of every tree of the garden you may freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat, for in the day that you eat of it you shall surely die." Seeing Adam alone, God declares, "It is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him a helper comparable to him." God brings every beast of the field and every bird of the air to Adam to see what he would call them. Whatever Adam calls each living creature, that is its name. Adam names all the cattle, the birds of the air, and every beast of the field. But for Adam, no suitable helper is found. So the Lord God causes a deep sleep to fall on Adam, and he sleeps. God takes one of Adam's ribs and closes up the place with flesh. From the rib, God makes a woman and brings her to Adam. Adam awakens and declares, "This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore, a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh." Adam and his wife are both naked, and they feel no shame, living in perfect harmony in the garden. This creation narrative underscores the special role of humanity in God's plan, highlighting the intimate and purposeful way in which God forms man and woman, entrusting them with stewardship over his creation and establishing the sanctity of marriage. As we delve deeper into the narrative of Genesis, we encounter a turning point that shapes the entire human experience. The story of the fall of man is detailed in Genesis 3:1-24. Now the serpent was more cunning than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. He said to the woman, "Has God indeed said, 'You shall not eat of every tree of the garden'?" The serpent's question, dripping with deceit, sows seeds of doubt in the woman's mind. The woman responds, "We may eat the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God has said, 'You shall not eat it, nor shall you touch it, lest you die.'" "You will not surely die," the serpent replies, "for God knows that in the day you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." The serpent's words entice the woman, promising wisdom and divine knowledge. When the woman sees that the tree is good for food, that it is pleasant to the eyes, and a tree desirable to make one wise, she takes of its fruit and eats. She also gives some to her husband, who is with her, and immediately their eyes are opened, and they realize they are naked. They sew fig leaves together and make coverings for themselves. Then they hear the sound of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and Adam and his wife hide themselves from the presence of the Lord God among the trees of the garden. But the Lord God calls to Adam, "Where are you?" Adam replies, "I heard your voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, so I hid." "Who told you that you were naked?" God asks. "Have you eaten from the tree of which I commanded you that you should not eat?" Adam blames the woman, saying, "The woman whom you gave to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I ate." The Lord God then asks the woman, "What is this you have done?" "The serpent deceived me, and I ate," she responds. God pronounces judgment, starting with the serpent. "Because you have done this, you are cursed more than all cattle and more than every beast of the field. On your belly you shall go, and you shall eat dust all the days of your life. Now I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. He shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel." To the woman he says, "I will greatly multiply your sorrow and your conception. In pain you shall bring forth children. Your desire shall be for your husband, and he shall rule over you." To Adam, he declares, "Because you have heeded the voice of your wife, and have eaten from the tree of which I commanded you, saying, 'You shall not eat of it.' Cursed is the ground for your sake. In toil you shall eat of it all the days of your life. Both thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for you, and you shall eat the herb of the field. In the sweat of your face you shall eat bread till you return to the ground, for out of it you were taken. For dust you are, and to dust you shall return." Adam names his wife Eve, because she is the mother of all living. The Lord God makes garments of skin for Adam and his wife and clothes them. Then he says, "Behold, the man has become like one of us, to know good and evil. And now, lest he put out his hand and take also of the tree of life, and eat and live forever." God sends Adam and Eve out of the Garden of Eden to work the ground from which they were taken. He places cherubim and a flaming sword, which turns every way to guard the way to the tree of life. This chapter teaches about the consequences of disobedience and the loss of innocence. It underscores the gravity of sin and the beginning of humanity's need for redemption. The fall sets the stage for the unfolding story of God's plan to restore his relationship with mankind.